Hello, Andrea Olson. Thank you so much for being on the Brick and Mortar Visibility Podcast. We're super excited to have you and learn about what you have to offer us in the world of peptides.
Oh, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yes. Tell everybody. I always like to talk weather just for a couple of seconds, break the ice. So here in Wisconsin, it's kind of dreary. We had this most beautiful day yesterday, and my allergies were I just wanted to claw my eyes out. Are you that way too? Where are you? Tell us where you're coming in
Well,
from.
I'm in Texas, but I'm actually a
Oh,
Midwest girl
yes.
originally.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I mean, this time of year in the Midwest, you could be getting snow, you could be getting rain, you could be sitting on a patio. Here in Dallas, we had some rain this morning, but it's a beautiful day. So, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So tell us a little bit of your story and how you came into the role of what you're doing in the wellness world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, mom of two kids. I have, the same full plate a lot of people feel like they have. My background, my professional background was in human resources. I led an HR team for a fashion retail company for many years and kind of was in my dream job when I learned about different opportunities in entrepreneurship. And so I used a lot of those skills and those gifts and applied it to my own business. And so I had that business for 11 and a half years, built teams, built groups of people. It was just very energizing. The missing piece for me was always some of the intersection in my day-to-day life, right? Like over time, as I was learning and growing as a mom and a wife, some of my choices, specifically around health and wellness and different decisions I was making, wasn't necessarily fully aligned with the brand that I was a part of at the time. It was an awesome fit and I love the products, but I was starting to open up parts of me that were much more minded around total body wellness, right? It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just the line of products I was offering. And so, what's interesting is when a necessary change came into my life, when I didn't have the choice in the matter, it gave me a moment to pause and assess like, what is it that if I'm going to do any version of this again or start anew, what would that look like? And so, wellness, I think of wellness as kind of like whole body wellness. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's the mental, there's the physical, there's the spiritual, and of course, I think now that I'm a parent, like the physical part of it has so much more to do with how healthy I feel and wanting to be that way long term for my kids and
Mm-hmm.
my, kids' families someday. And so that was at the core of my decision making was how can I help more women like me who are feeling like I am, my late 30s, and distinctively make a difference in that sense, but then also have products that are not a copy paste of something else, right? So not just another version of something people have seen a million times. And so that's what led me to what I'm doing now. And lots of other factors obviously always weigh into decisions around business,
Mm-hmm.
but the products and the product story, which I know we're going to talk about, was a big piece of it because I knew if I was going to be using products and representing a brand and building teams and helping lead in any way, it needed to be that there was a lot of thought leadership at the forefront of product as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's dive into a little bit about what we're talking about. So the reason I brought Andrea on is because I have been using these products myself and have experienced the energy, the just differentness in my body, plus the focus for sure. Focus. I'm I don't even know how old I am. You don't count after a certain age. But I'm almost 50. So I know that that's coming around. But so for those of us that are newer or haven't or heard peptides, but it's a word that's out there a lot. So help us explain how this company is a little different in peptides.
Yeah. Well, it's a big world, right? And you hear the term a lot, and there's actually a lot of terms kind of like it out there that I think people start to make it a little interchangeable, maybe when it's not actually. So I'm going to
Hmm.
tell you what a peptide is, and then I'll kind of share with you that there's a few different types out there, and so kind of
Hmm.
where this lands. So a peptide is a short chain amino acid. It's a very specific messenger to a cell, like it connects to a receptor in a cell. And so, what's different about a peptide, and they actually naturally occur in our bodies, right? So, we have them when we're born. even things like colostrum have peptides in it. Like we have a lot of peptides around us. It's not a foreign substance, right? However, a lot of times people hear the word peptide and they're more familiar, maybe they don't even realize it, but they're more familiar with a lot of the peptides that are compounded, like in a pharmacy or injected. And there are some oral peptides that are also delivered in a similar way. They're just a pure peptide, but it is synthetic, right? So it's not coming from a natural substance. Again, there's all sorts of benefits to those, potentially some side effects as well, but it's just that's a synthetic peptide. It mimics that of which would connect to a receptor in the body, right? Now, there's another world of peptides, which actually has been studied for a long time. And I feel like one of the things that has gotten lost for people is that we actually know a lot of the right answers and clues to what works for us are sometimes the simple answers that we just don't pursue. Like we know going for a walk is good for our mental health, our physical health, but how many times do we just put that off, right? So bioactive precision peptides are this other category of peptides, and they are found in nature. They are naturally derived. So it could be from anything from soil, plants, animal sources like collagen, marine kind of like category could be another one. Now, they are still short chain amino acids. They are very precise, not only in their delivery of a functional benefit, but also they're very specifically precise in their size. So they longer chain amino acids become larger protein sources, right? So you might be familiar with some of those, but this is uniquely different because of the number of amino acids in the chain. And the reason that this matters is that these have existed forever. Like they are part of nature. But one of the hard things has always been determining which of these bioactive precision peptides, that's the phrase we use to describe them, these bioactive peptides, which roles do some of them play in the human body? Do any of them play a role in the human body? The truth is, yes, actually, there are many. But how do you take billions of peptides that naturally occur and figure out which ones of those precisely do something in the human body? And so that was kind of like the mathematical equation that, honestly takes a long time to solve if you're just guessing. And so, really, what has shifted in the last 5 to 7, up to 10 years in some cases, years has been the evolution of the technology to be able to
Mhm.
run like large data sets. We're familiar with AI. Sometimes AI has a reputation that's not positive, but in this case, what it's doing is it's synthesizing large data sets and it's determining which have most likely outcomes in the human body. Now, that's not how the clinical trial is conducted. That's just the first step. That's like, okay, so now we've taken what were, let's just say thousands of possibilities and narrowed it down to a handful of possibilities, right? So these are the most likely. And then they run very specific studies and
Mhm.
trials around those. And so that's what has really shifted in the last number of years because prior there was a lot of trying to mimic that of nature and market
Mm.
it as a drug, which honestly you can make very potent and very active and it can absolutely serve a purpose. But there is this whole other world which was just a little bit, it wasn't not studied, but it was less precise in its exactness. And so I think it fell into the category for most people of like, oh, that's nice. Like those are just like nice to have ingredients. But now the way that they're being designed and really where this product line comes in is that they are very precise, not only in the way that they're formulated and the ingredients that come alongside them, but also in their claims, because these claims are very specific to exactly which receptors they connect to. So it's exciting in my world because I've always really relied on clinical claims for the work I did in my previous business. And to be at the forefront of something now, it feels a little different because you're doing a little bit of this, right? Like the education around it. But I always feel like that's so energizing too as a business owner. And I'm sure you can agree. It's like when you have a chance to tell a story that hasn't been told a million times over, it's very confirming that it's going to help people because people are running into a wall of like, I just want to feel better. I want to get my health back on track. I feel like I'm doing everything right. And so that's really where peptides can come into play. They're really intended to optimize the results that you want to see very specifically and with like a specific function attached.
So, what are those functions that make wellness peptides claim to help with?
Yeah. So currently we have a product assortment of six core products that will be extending. We have future pillars around. So right now we're in brain and body. We will have more products in each of those categories. We will be then moving into beauty and beyond, which includes longevity, which includes sleep. There's just there's really no limit to the direction that that can take because, as you know, as we learn about new advancements, I mean, the world of science is never stopping, right? So
Mhm.
as you're continuing to learn, you have the opportunity to help in very functionally specific ways. The products that we have right now are fit, lean, hydrated, focused, calm, and energized. And they do exactly what they describe to do. So
Mhm.
I can go into any of them, but I think the reason that that's so unique is that you prior to this, there are a lot of supplements out there, a lot of vitamins out there that have kind of what's called an umbrella effect, right? So there's a lot of really great individual ingredients in these products, and the way that they're delivered in the body is kind of like, let's just swarm the body with good ingredients, and then what gets used will be the parts that were needed, and what flushes are the things that were not. And I think a lot of people over time have realized they don't really know if
Mhm.
there's something functionally changing as a result of taking a vitamin or a specific supplement. And so the way these are designed to work is that there is a very specific anticipated function that you can assess, right? So obviously you need to take a product long enough to see the ongoing benefits of a product, but it's not like there's a magic pill or magic stick pack of a beverage. But what I will say is you do start to notice things as you're taking them consistently, right? So it could be, and I'm curious from your perspective, you mentioned focused, but there are just very clear clues as to these like slight improvements almost immediately in nearly all the cases. And then over time, you're kind of seeing this like honed in effect where your body is just getting really good at performing that function, like way more efficiently than it ever was. And that could be in the reduction of muscle soreness after a workout. Maybe, it could be in my mom is an avid gardener and her body could not sustain the same amount of gardening as she used to do. And she would say, I just will be sore for 3 days
Mhm.
after a long day in my garden. I gave her Fit. I said you need to use this consistently. It's not something magical, but it is going to help with the recovery. And what she told me was that it actually immediately made a difference the next day because she could like do normal stuff. She's like, Andrea, that is a big deal. She had started using it a couple days prior, so it was already in her system. And it's a daily tool for her now because she's like, my joints were not achy. My muscles were not sore. I still had energy all day after gardening, which is like that would never happen before. So I think these are the kind of expected results you can see because this is lifestyle. This isn't like, bodybuilders only get the
Mhm.
benefit. It's
Mhm.
specific to the person who's using these in their everyday life.
Mhm. Mhm. What is your favorite product that you're using right now?
Oh man, my favorite
Or
product
do
that
you
I'm
use
using
you
right
use
now.
them all? I'm sure you
I'm
do, right?
I use them all, yeah.
Hmm.
And I notice when, like, if I run out of something, I notice I really miss it in my routine. Not only because it's
Right.
just part of my routine, and I think routines and habits are kind of fundamental to really improving your life. Like
Hmm.
if you're doing something sometimes, like you're actually just shortcutting your own potential with it. Like you're not going to see the fullness of the benefit. So what I would say there's two products for me that I'm often referring to when I'm talking to people. Number one, it's Fit
Hmm.
because it does make a difference in the way I feel every single day. And I previously really struggled with frozen shoulder. My left shoulder has had a lot of achiness, even like buckling a seatbelt. Like I couldn't reach back when I'd sit in the passenger seat and give something to my kids because that shoulder movement I could not do. Now I can do this. I can lift weights. There is no pain. I'm just telling you, relief wise, fit. There's nothing I've and I will say it runs in my family, and my mom has struggled with it for a long time. And she was down the road of having to get, specific injections for it and all these things. And so for her also, she's older than I am, but she's seen the same type of results. Like that's, I mean, so confirming for me. Um, and then focused for me is a big one because
Hmm.
I'm on screens a lot,
Hmm.
like doing things like this or coaching calls or just lots of reasons, right? And then also I'm driving a lot because I'm doing carpool and pickup. And so the eye strain benefits for me with focused are actually a big part of what I notice.
Hmm.
The mental clarity, the ability to recall words, the memory, all good. That has been a big deal to me as well. But I would say for me, the optical nerve support that you get from focused is a big one.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. I enjoy focus. I saw results right away with focus. That was
Awesome.
that was incredible, actually, the when I tried that. Um, so as business owners, fitness studio owners, this to me is such a great ancillary product to offer your clients in a way that benefits their health, helps with their longevity. And then it's you as well as a busy business owner. So can you just talk a little bit about what how easy these are to fit in your life, like how they work and the kind of the logistics of it for people who don't know what they how they're presented.
Yeah. Well, I think of it as we are all high performers. Like we all want to perform at our highest potential, whether we are busy moms or we are business owners or we are athletes or we are in the fitness realm, as a profession, right? We all want to perform at our highest potential. So
Hmm.
what I notice when I'm talking to people is that most of the time, any deficit, whether they're feeling like just really sluggish waking up in the morning, or they're losing steam by the afternoon, or they're just having this like dip in their mental clarity at some point in the day, or their body just doesn't feel their metabolism feels like it's kind of stalled out, whatever it is, like all of those things hinder you being your highest potential. Like because our bodies are a very big tool for us. It's not, and obviously our brains as well. So all of these things connect to just really being in the most optimized state for our life. And so for me in talking to moms and business owners and corporate professionals, they want to be at their best all the time. They don't want to have these ebbs and flows, and we're going to have them, right? Like sometimes you're not going to have a great night's sleep, but if you are armed with some tools that are going to help you first thing in the morning if you didn't have a great night of sleep, or maybe it's that your brain just keeps going at night and you can't calm
Hmm.
down, calm is amazing for that. And so
Hmm.
it's like, gosh, if I can just, it's a non-drowsy formula, but it helps you just, I call it like it closes the tabs in my open mind at 10 o'clock. And what that allows for is me to get a good night's sleep. And then my next day functions so much better. So I think if you're thinking about all the ways that these products could help, people you actually know, I think the sky's the limit. I also think if you are in the fitness space and you have brick and mortar stores, for many years I was a Pure Barre instructor, so I can kind of imagine that space
Hmm.
now. I'm not today, but I think of the person who's coming in who's like, hey, I know you probably have a few more tools than I even know about. Tell me what I need to know. Like I want to get every advantage there is, right? They're doing a lot of the right stuff perhaps, but they're not feeling like it's making a marked impact
Hmm.
in their
Hmm.
results. And I think that's really where precision peptides, like bioactive precision peptides, they're very accessible. There's low cost. They are fully digestible. So you can actually enjoy them as part of your daily routine.
Hmm.
They're not injections. And I think a lot of people, that accessibility matched with, oh, and they're very functionally specific. Like
Hmm.
I know what this is meant to do in my body. That's appealing. Not to mention, I think now people really do care a lot about ingredients, ingredient quality, transparency. What is in the product? Is there anything I don't want in these products? Is there any added sugar? Is there any anything that's, endocrine disruptors, all those things. And so when you have that coupled with it, where it's like this pure promise matched with the results, people are like, I want to know about that. That's
Mhm.
kind of where it kicks in. So I think that's the sweet spot. And I don't think that that's just for business owners in the fitness space, but I definitely feel like if you're in that realm, people are going to look to you to have a point of view on peptides. And also, the average person wants to know what's accessible to them.
Mhm. Mhm. Two things I want to just touch on. You talked um, at the top, you brought it up, consistency. That this is a product that you're going to notice when you don't take it. And
Yeah.
that's true for a lot of things, right? A lot of with medications or whatever. Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then you go off and you're like, whoa. Um, but definitely the consistency factor. And I recently, literally this week, it's coincidentally that she said yesterday, she goes, are you doing something different? And she's a woman my age. And I was like, well, no, except this. That's the only thing I've done. And I showed her the Make Wellness in the studio. And just started the conversation of, and then she was sharing what she's using, but the consistency factor for sure. So speak to that, how we can, how these, you did speak to how easy they're being able to use, but talk about that and maybe something that as we close this, what, what do you want people to like just understand or like clear up. Let's just clear up the air on these products, on what peptides are or make wellness is.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll answer the consistency and then I'll
Mhm.
I'll, address like something I would clear up. So, I mean, as far as consistency goes, I think one of the greatest proofs of consistency is when you do accidentally maybe forget to take something or you run out or whatever, because just recently I had a few days without energized and I almost always take energized around lunchtime. And the reason I do is because it doesn't give you this like jolt of energy, it just prevents the crash.
Mhm.
So for me, if I take it around noon, I don't have any dip in my afternoon energy, which is really the way you want to take it. You don't want to wait until you feel the dip. You want to get kind of
Ahead of it.
preventatively ahead of it. And then your body, what's so great about it is it also tackles some mood regulation. And so if you were going to be starting to feel that come 2 or 3 o'clock, you're just steady through that time. And that's when I'm busiest because I have young kids and that's when we're doing pickup. And so I need it just to be level. I don't need a spike. I know what that does to my adrenals. I don't want that. But there were a few days that I ran out of energized. And so I thought I'd be okay because whatever, like I can carry on. But what I noticed was I started reaching for sugar at
Mm.
3 o'clock. Now,
Mhm.
I also take the other products, right? So I'm taking fit and lean and hydrated, all those things. But the only different thing I did was not get ahead of it at noon. So what I wasn't craving was actually sugar. I was just reaching for something that would give me that artificial spike, right?
Mhm.
Because I hadn't prevented it. And so I think sometimes we think, oh, I can just outsmart my body. And we can. We can be ultra disciplined and I can say no to the thing that I think I'm, needing. But a lot of times, what we are preventing by taking care of it is just the unconscious that we don't even
Mhm.
have to think about. I don't have to think about that. And I don't have to make the decision, one less decision in my day, and I'm good. And so that's what I would say consistency allows for
Mhm.
when you're using these products is just this very consistent expectation of how you're going to feel, how your
Mhm.
body's going to respond, and what it is and isn't needing you to make decisions around, which has
Mm.
been a big thing for me. Like
I
the
love
busier
that.
I am, the fewer decisions I want to make.
Right.
So that's a big deal to me. As far as things I would clear up, sometimes I've actually heard it said they're like those aren't real peptides, and so I want to just
Yeah.
explain. There's no such thing as a real peptide versus a not real peptide. A peptide is a scientific term for a short chain of amino acids. I don't get to decide what that is. You don't get to decide what that is. It's just the term used. And some are found in nature and some are developed in labs. And again, like I said, there's no right or wrong to it. They do different things.
Mhm.
They have different claims in some cases, right? They also have some potentially different side effects as well, right? Again, full disclosure, it's good to know. Now, what I would say is that that language gets really tricky for people because they're like, well, I don't want something that's not real. And so, what I would actually say is that the nature-based peptides have always been, they've always existed. We didn't know how to harness them, we didn't know how to utilize them in products. So, it's not surprising that it is a little bit unknown and a little bit abstract for hard for people to really fully grasp because it's like if they've always existed, why haven't we used them? It's like because you can't just crush up a leaf and put it in a product and call it a peptide.
Mhm.
It's a very specific process to identify, isolate, and then formulate around the peptide. And so that's what I would say. I would say that's an area that just
Mhm.
doesn't feel known for people. And so, in the absence of knowing, you kind of hear some of these comments and you're like, okay, well, all that tells me is that there's just so much room for education, which is
Mhm.
exciting.
Mhm. I love how you explain the consistency and brought that because it is a decision fatigue. Like this is just what we do, and what we unconsciously reach for,
Yes.
and fill in that void.
Yeah.
So true. So, and I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
But
Because I don't normally crave I don't, that's not when I would crave sugar. Typically for me, it's like, it's more late in the day.
hmm
So I noticed it because I'm like, why
hmm
do I want something sugary at 3 o'clock? Oh, okay. Well, it's
noted.
probably because my body is like missing
Yeah.
that element. And again, it's like, it could be a soda for somebody. It could be
Okay.
an energy drink for somebody. Whatever it
hmm
is, it's like one fewer decision you have to make at some point.
hmm hmm Andrea, thank you so much for your time and speaking so clearly to peptides and how they can help us. As a business owner, I know this is totally different for us here on Brick and Mortar Visibility Podcast, but this is something that we're all high performers. We want to perform at our best, be present at our best. And it's not just business, it's life. We are not just our brick and mortar or our business. We are parents, we are partners. And how can we be the best at all of it? And when we have some tools to help us, I want to share that. So, Make
For
Wellness is
sure.
one of those tools, and Andrea was brought on to explain it clearly and succinctly, and you did a beautiful job.
Thank
And
you.
if you want more information, learn more, I do have the link below of my affiliate to just check and see what this is about. And if you have questions, please reach out. But Andrea, I want to just thank you so much for giving your time so graciously. And any last parting words before we sign off?
All I was going to say, Melissa, is if I didn't know about these products, I would want to know about them. So
Right.
for me, like, I hope that this just gave perspective as to what these offer and maybe a potential solution for somebody who's looking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. And please share this with your best business owner and get the word out and help each other be our best self. All right. Have a great week. We will see you here, same time, same place next week. Peace. Bye bye.